It's finally time to try and buy my dad an e-bike. After starting with just £100, we've flipped and donated bikes to generate a cash pot of just over £1,000. But finding a suitable E-MTB with this budget won't be easy. So follow along to see if we can negotiate our way to an epic deal or find ourselves with a shockingly bad disaster. Right, so I think for £1,000, we've really only got three options for buying my dad an e-bike. So option one is to buy a higher spec e-bike, so something that's maybe full suspension, mid-drive, hydraulic brakes, everything like that. However, for that price, we're probably going to have to get something that's either high mileage and quite heavily used, or potentially something that's broken and that needs fixing. Option two is much lower risk, which is to buy something that's either new or almost new and possibly even has a little bit of warranty on it. But for that price, again, it will have to be lower spec. And option three is to buy a e-bike conversion kit where we'll take a donor bike and then convert it into an e-bike. All three options have their pros and cons, but we've got to be really careful here because potentially picking the wrong one could mean all that hard work throughout the challenge has been wasted. Now, I really want to pick option one because I think it goes hand in hand with the rest of the challenge in regards to restoration. I also like the idea of buying my dad a full suspension mid-drive bike because I think it will allow him to go more places and we're not going to be constrained as to where we can ride based on the spec of the e-bike. I recently got to have my first experience on an e-bike out in Greece when we did an e-bike tour and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. Those bikes, they weren't the highest spec, but again, they were full suspension, had nice chunky tyres on them, and I really felt like that spec complemented the electric assist and it allowed you to get to places that you wouldn't normally be able to get to on a standard analog bike. Now, I also got talking to the owner of the e-bike experience and told him about my plans to buy my dad a second-hand e-bike. And he did kind of look at me like I was a bit of an idiot. Now that might be true, but he did get round to warning me about all the potential minefields and pitfalls that we're going to have to avoid when buying a second-hand e-bike. And it does sound to me like we're going to have to be really, really careful. Take this listing here, for example. It's a Voodoo Zobop that I think would be perfect for this. Mid-drive, full suspension, thick chunky tyres, and the bidding on it starts for just under £300, which seems really cheap, doesn't it? But it's got a major fault. It's got an error code that means that the bike won't turn on. So it could just be as simple as cleaning out a battery connector, or it could need a brand new motor. Potentially could be looking at £700 to £1,000. And even then, I can't fit that new motor because it has to be paired to the rest of the bike through some specialist software, which again, I don't have access to. On the other end of the spectrum, we've got option two, which is to buy something that is either new or almost new and potentially has got some warranty on it. However, with the budget that we've got, it's likely going to be a lower spec e-bike. And I don't think that's really going to suit the riding that we're going to be doing. And then of course you've got option three, which is to convert a bike using a e-bike conversion kit. And although I quite like the idea of doing this, I have been warned by numerous people that they aren't always the most reliable. And especially from an electrical safety point of view, some of the batteries that come with these conversion kits are questionable. And I certainly don't want to be responsible for burning my parents' house down. So I think I'm going to leave that option for another day. Right, so I'm going to spend some time now to go away and have a proper look at the different options available to us. And then I'll report back here with what I've found. All right, so I decided not to bid on that Voodoo Zobop. It seemed like way too much of a risk, and I think other people also thought the same, because in the end, not that many people bid on it, and I think it only went for just over £300. I've been searching for a little while now, and I can't say I'm massively confident. A lot of the listings out there are questionable at best. Whether that's deals that seem a bit dodgy, potentially too good to be true. I think there's probably a lot of stolen e-bikes out there. And I've also seen some ridiculous maintenance activities. Just for reference, the majority of issues that you see with the e-bike motor units are due to water getting inside of the motor and ruining it. And that can be when people are washing their bikes, they're actually forcing the water in. Most people don't advise jet washing your mountain bike anyway, but jet washing an e-bike could potentially be even worse here. So when I saw this listing, I was really cringing. I was really hoping that they weren't going to go anywhere near the motor unit and then they directly jet washed it. So yeah, not going to be putting any bids in on that bike. Yeah, I wasn't really feeling too good about all this until I found this listing. It was a Voodoo Bazango E. Now, I've owned a Voodoo Bazango in the past and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great bike. So an electric variant, whilst it isn't full suspension, potentially this could be a really good buy. I saw this bike listed before Christmas for £1,600 and it's been up for quite a while now. The thing I like about this bike is it's almost brand new. I think it's less than 6 months old and it's only done 26 miles, which means there's not been much opportunity for somebody to go out and wreck it. I do think that £1,600 is quite expensive for this e-bike, considering it was £2,300 new. I think one thing that a lot of people don't seem to grasp is if you buy a bike brand new and then you instantly sell it second hand, it's very unlikely you're going to get any more than 60% of the RRP. So whilst this is out of my price range, if this person's reasonable, and hopefully they are, they'll be open to some negotiation that will bring it maybe a little bit closer into my price range. So I've just messaged the guy to ask a couple of questions, ask why he's selling the bike, why he's had it for such a short period of time before selling it, and whether he's got paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And he's come back to me and said that he's the original owner and he's just not really used the bike, so he's wanting to sell it. And the great thing is he's got all of the paperwork to back it up, the charger and everything like that. And so I'm really interested in this bike. It's a really good spec, 2025 model. It's the right size and it's not too far away as well. Because the bike has been listed for so many weeks, what I normally do is go in there with a bit of a cheeky offer and just see how people respond. 9 out of 10 times the offer will be rejected, but it will prompt some discussion as to what they actually might be open to price-wise. And a lot of times people will counter offer, they'll say, you know what, I'll accept this amount if you can say pick up in this time frame, especially if the bike's been listed for a long time. A lot of people are just going to want to get it sold. Okay, so I'm going to put in an offer of £900 and see how this goes. Okay, my offer has been rejected. I don't think I was too surprised to see that. So I'm going to try 950 and just see if maybe that prompts any kind of further discussion. Okay, let's see what we'll do. Okay, so he's come back with this. So he's basically said he would be open to a deal. However, the prices that I've been mentioning have just been too low. And I think that's fair enough. That's kind of what I expected. So he's come back and he said he would accept an offer of £1,100 if it can be collected in the next couple of days. The only problem is, as you know, we've only got £1,000 in the cash pot and I really don't want this bike to slip away because having a bike with all the paperwork and this age and mileage, I don't know, I haven't seen that many come up like this. So I don't want to get too attached to it, but I also realise that this is a really good bike. And especially for me, because I'm posting this online, I really do need to make sure that the person has got all the paperwork and it's all legit, because I can't take that risk. I think my dad would be really disappointed if we had to end up giving a bike back because it turned out to be stolen, for example. But yeah, the problem is we've got £1,000 and I don't think that is going to cut it with this guy, understandably so, because I think his counter offer is fair. The problem is another bike flip could take weeks to do before we've sourced the bike, flipped it around and sold it. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to go away and just have a bit of a think as to what I'm going to do here. And after a few more days of searching, I was unable to find any other options that would be viable. Thoughts went through my head of all the effort that's gone into this challenge so far and all the people that have been rooting for the final result. I just didn't want to let you, the amazing audience, and my dad down. To make matters worse, the seller had clearly woken up to the fact that they priced too highly, and unbeknownst to me at this point, they'd actually reduced the entire listing to what they'd counter-offered me, meaning anyone could come and snap this bike up at any moment. And just when I was starting to come to terms with the prospect that we might have to let this deal go, we had an unexpected stroke of luck come our way. Right, I think my dad might have inadvertently saved this challenge because I was back at my parents and I was just walking out of there and I saw this bike in the garage and I've never seen the bike before and I was like, what's this? What are you planning to do with this bike? And they said, well, we've had it for a number of years and not really used it, so we were just going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace for 10 or 20 quid. And I was like, no, you can't do that. It's in really decent condition. So I said to them, how about I take it and I'll sell it on your behalf and then we'll put the money that it generates towards a decent cause. The thing I like about this is he doesn't realise that he is the good cause in this case. So yeah, it looks like a decent bike. It's got decent life left in the components, probably just needs a little bit of a tune-up and a service. But because the weather's really nice today, it's a Saturday today, and I was thinking if I can get this bike cleaned up and listed this morning, there's a potential that we might be able to sell this even later today. And hopefully it's enough money to go towards that e-bike, and fingers crossed that e-bike is still available. Okay, let's see what we can do. Right, okay, let's get this bike in the bike stand. It's going to make it a bit easier and quicker to... Oh, I always do this. That should make it a little bit quicker and easier for us to clean this bike up a little bit. You can see here it's still got the stickers on and everything. Right, so what I've got is, I've got a sponge with a Brillo pad. I've got some liquid with some very kind of mild detergent in for the tyres, just give the bike a little bit of a clean up. I've got some microfiber cloths that have just been washed and some furniture polish. That should allow us to really clean this bike up nice and good. And then separately, I'll just make sure this drivetrain gets nice and cleaned up. So let's go for it. Bit of detergent on there. Only light pressure, because of course I don't want to damage the tyre. And clean off. Just go around the rim of the bike because there's a little bit of muck. Oh, here, I'll show you. There's a little bit of muck on these rims, so just, I don't know, it probably isn't the best way of doing it, but just wrap the microfiber cloth and just go bit by bit with that detergent. And then again, it only takes, probably only takes 10 minutes to do both wheels, but it really does make the bike look a lot nicer. Do the other side in a minute. The other thing that you can do as well is see, goodness me, look at all this fluff. This is the problem when it's been stored for a long time. If you can see in there in the hub, the other thing as well that we can do is, might be a bit difficult for you to see from that angle, but I'll get in there, don't get your hand stuck, then essentially just polish it. And you can see there, that looks way better, doesn't it? Just looks a lot cleaner on that hub. Small little details like that, they do add up, especially when you're selling a bike, even at this price range. It just gives a much better impression that the bike's been looked after. Right, that's both tyres done. I think I'm going to go wash my hands because I think there was a bit of dog poo on one of the tyres. A little bit of furniture polish, as as per the bike farmer way, but it's easy to get in there, get it cleaned up. As I said, normally I like to take my time doing this because I really enjoy doing this in an evening, but in this particular case I'm in a little bit of a rush. So I'm trying to get this done as fast as I can. I'm not wanting to spray this on directly because I don't want us to get on any of the braking surface because that potentially could be quite dangerous if that gets on the brakes. And ideally not on the suspension components either, but I don't know whether for these ones it matters too much. Then that will dry kind of like a cloudy colour and then you can buff it off and it looks good. While I'm waiting for that to dry though, I'm just going to test these gears, see how they do. So 7x3. Okay, so that's in gear 7, that's correct. I will be amazed if these have kept their indexing. Okay. No way. I'll just keep testing these combinations until I get a gear that doesn't work very well. I am pretty happy with that. Okay, so the limits are set up, so less chance of this derailleur going flying into the wheel and ripping itself off. A little bit of surface rust on here. Look at that. Someone's put some grease in there, so get some solvent on a rag. Don't want to get it into the bearings, and then we can clean that up. Get in here, and this will be quite time consuming, but again, I think when you see the result you'll see that it was well worth doing. But yeah, I really just don't want to be spraying that GT85 directly on here because apparently what you don't want to do is get any solvent into the free hub, because then it dissolves all the grease that's in the bearings that need to have grease on, and that then wrecks the free hub and makes it wear out way faster. Might be louder for a period of time though, so I know a lot of people like to do. Then some GT85 on a rag, just clean this chain up a bit. Let's have a look at the brakes. Well, the alignment on them isn't terrible actually. I think we could probably leave those. Same goes to the front. We'll test them outside in a bit, but they're all feeling okay for now. So I'm now going to get outside, get some nice photos of this bike, and hopefully it sells pretty quickly because that e-bike could get sold any minute. All right, okay, well, the bike did sell. I listed it for £90 and I got a fair bit of interest, but I ended up selling it for £70 in the end. So that means our total is £1,070. It's still not quite as much as the guy was asking for, but I'm wondering possibly if he'll accept the deal if I go and buy the bike today. So hopefully it's still available. Right, okay, it's still available. I'm going to have to see if he'll accept an offer of £1,070 because that's all I've got, and I don't think I'm going to have time to turn anything else around. So I'm going to put that offer to him and say that I can pick it up today. I can drive over now and pick it up if needed. Hopefully he accepts that. But yeah, I'll get back to you with the results. Right, okay, so he accepted the offer. Let's go take a proper look at this thing outside. Okay, so here we have it then, the Voodoo Bozango E. Wow, it's been a long time coming, but this is the bike that we have decided to buy for my dad. I think he's going to be really pleased with this actually. So let's have a proper look at it then. So it's got a Shimano EP6 mid-drive motor that's paired to a 504 watt-hour battery. Supposedly that should give it 60 miles of range. In reality, I don't know if that will be the case, but even so, even if it does half that, 30 miles range, that should be absolutely fine for the sort of riding that me and my dad do. It's got Shimano Q's 1x10 drivetrain. I've heard mixed stuff about this, but I'm interested to see more about how this performs. I think it's got Shimano MT200 brakes. I get on with them quite well on my own personal bike, so I'm happy with that. And then it's also got this dropper post, although I don't think that will be used, so we'll probably end up taking this off and putting it on another bike. Got RockShox Silo silver R forks. Interestingly enough, I don't believe these are air sprung. I think they're actually coil sprung. I'd like to know why they've chosen that style of fork over an air fork. I don't know whether it's a cost thing or whether it's more appropriate for the higher weight of an e-bike, but it's not like your normal kind of cheap coil fork. I believe this is properly damped as well. So yeah, I am quite interested to see how it performs. It's in a little bit of a mucky condition, but that's all right. But the paintwork's looking all really good, really nice. A few little scuffs and scratches here and there, but I'll be able to buff them out with a little bit of polish. There is a little bit of paint damage under here, and I was like, what on earth is this? Because that's actually quite a deep scratch on there. But you can see the culprit here. The clearance between the crown of the fork and the frame is 0, which, if I'm being brutally honest, I am pretty shocked at that. That's quite shoddy work, that the interface between the swept envelope of this and the actual frame itself wasn't checked. And if it is a manufacturing defect, again, that really needs to be picked up, and that should be accounted for in the design process. So you're gonna have to be really careful, because that will just keep on gouging material out of the frame. Bit ridiculous that. It's got Maxxis Forecaster tyres, 2.4 inches, could probably fit a wider one on the front. Don't think there's enough clearance really to fit much wider on the back. So yeah, I'm really happy with this purchase, but of course, to be absolutely sure, I've really got to go out there and test it. But before I do, there's just a couple of minor things that I've got to do before this bike is, in my opinion, properly trail ready. Unfortunately, whoever assembled the bike did not decide to clean off the thick factory grease, and that is not meant to be driven with the drivetrain. You're supposed to clean that off. The reason they put that sticky kind of factory grease on is to stop the chain corroding in transport after it's been manufactured. But no, in this case, they've not removed it. So it's created a very thick, sticky residue, and that will definitely attract a lot of dirt and wear out the drivetrain. Now, I was going to clean it off, and I would normally do that just by having the bike on the ground, backpedal it with a rag and some GT85, but I realised in this case, you can't pedal backwards on a mid-drive. I'm going to need to get this up in the bike stand, and then I'll pedal it forward. So the bike stand can cope with it. Okay, that is feeling quite a bit better now. And as you can see here, I'll turn it on. It's only done 26 miles. That is incredible. The other thing that I like is that the previous owner didn't store the bike with the battery at full capacity, which apparently, according to the guru that I met, said that you absolutely don't want to be storing the battery at full capacity. As you can see here, it's on 60%, but I'm probably going to need a little bit more battery than that today. So I'm going to get it charged up. I've got about 45 minutes before I need to set off. So we'll see how much that will charge up by in that period of time. Right, let's see what battery percentage that's gone up to in 45 minutes. Okay, 80%, perfect. So that should last us pretty well. Right, let's give this a go then. Just waiting for it to turn on. Okay, so let's try the first power level. Whoa, okay. That's not bad. So it says we've got 57 miles of range on this power level. Be interested to see if that's actually the case. Let's just stop here. Try second mode. Whoa, okay. Actually starting to lift the front wheel off the ground there. Right. Let's try the third power level. Whoa. Wowee. Oh yeah. Alright, let's see what this thing is like on a blue trail. Nice, okay. Okay, it's a nice little boost out the corners. Okay, brakes are good. See if this thing can fly. Oh, nice. Oh. Okay. Oh, this is so good. I'm so glad that the seller took the deal in the end, because he did say to me when I picked it up, there was someone with a slightly lower offer that he was contemplating taking later that day. Thankfully he was pretty reasonable, because otherwise I just don't think we'd have made this happen. I mean, the bike is performing brilliantly, and I'm so glad that it is, because we ended up with no money left in the cash pot at all, so we would have had no money for any kind of fixes, anything like that. So very, very lucky this is all working well. I think my dad is going to absolutely love this bike. And I know I said at the start of the challenge, if there was any money left over, I'd like to donate it to some good charities, some good causes. Although we've technically got no money left in the cash pot, I think we're going to try and work something out. So if you know any good bike-related causes that we should look at, then let me know in the comments down below. You know what though? On these very flat blue type trails, this is brilliant. It's just fantastic, because I'm still getting a great workout in. Wow, that was really, really good fun. I've had a couple of months off the bike with illness, and that was a great way to get back on. And right, with that, we'll go back to the table and wrap this episode up. Was buying a second-hand e-bike really a good idea, and would I recommend it to anybody else? Well, my honest answer is, unless you really know what you're looking for, probably not. I'm really glad that we went somewhere between option 1 and option 2 in the end, obviously more leaning towards option 2. Whilst I've been waiting for a good time to surprise my dad with this bike, I've been using it over the last couple of weeks, and I have to say it has been absolutely fantastic. It's some of the most fun that I've had on a mountain bike in a long time. The sorts of speeds that I was going, it's definitely some great inspiration for me to get back up to those fitness levels and start having that much fun on the bike again. I'm going to explain a lot more of the benefits of having an e-bike in the next episode, and more specifically how it relates to my dad and why I wanted to get him one in the first place. I think in total I've done about 50 miles on this bike so far, and it hasn't missed a beat. It has been incredible over the time that I've been riding it. So I think my dad is also going to find the same. Of course, that is only in the short term. In the long run, we might regret buying a second-hand e-bike. And while the bike does technically still have warranty left on it, it is only really meant to be for the first owner of the bike. So I'm not sure that Halfords would actually honour it. But either way, at least we got the bike for a decent price in the end. And talking about the price, did we actually get a good deal on this bike? Well, I think me and the seller of the bike probably were anchored a little bit to their initial pricing of £1,600. But as it turns out, that price was just just way too high. The bike was listed for getting on towards 5 months, and there was nothing else that I could see wrong with the listings. I think if anything then, it tells you that it was probably the price as to the reason why this bike didn't sell quicker. And that's a little bit of wisdom for you that are selling your bikes. Make sure you don't price it too low, because people are going to get suspicious about the reasons as to why you priced it so low. And don't price it too high either, because you just won't get any interest. People will just think if you're deluded about the asking price, you're not going to be reasonable to negotiate with. Of course, that wasn't the case here, but it's a little bit like putting your house on the market. You know, if you go on too high, it can be quite difficult to reduce back down to a reasonable level without making your position as a seller look quite weak. Since I bought the bike, there has been a few more that have come on for sale and sold, and I think that £1,000 to £1,100 price bracket is about right for this bike. So the £1,070 that we paid was just about the right market rate. I know in the bike flipping community, everybody's always trying to get things for under market rate and get fantastic deals on stuff. But in some ways, I don't really even care if we paid above market rate for this bike, because we came in bang on budget. Genuinely, I wasn't expecting things to come that close to the wire. Putting all the money things aside, I think this bike is going to really help my dad, and that is priceless. Remember, he doesn't know that I bought this bike for him. In fact, he doesn't even have a clue that I've been doing this challenge at all. So it is going to be a complete shock when we reveal this bike to him in the next episode, which will be the season finale of, I suppose, season 1 of the bike flipping challenge, where we're going to reveal this bike to him, and hopefully we'll get a really good reaction out of him. And if you want to be notified when that episode comes out, make sure to click the subscribe button here. And if you want to watch other episodes in the series, make sure to click these series players here, and you can go through and watch all of them. So thanks ever so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon.